Hello everyone, in today's video I'll be explaining how you play UR, and I'll explain all the basics and just how to generally get good. So first of all, when you enter the game, you want to choose your nation by clicking, for example, on Poland and pressing play. Now at first you might be a bit overwhelmed by these things. You have a lot of information here, but don't be scared, it's pretty simple to understand. You'll get it pretty quickly. I'll go over these one by one, starting with this Rivals. Now what Rivals does is basically it just makes you unable to ally them, and if you win a war against your rival, you get something called Prestige. Now what Prestige does is just generally boosts your stats, it gives you more army attack, and it gives you more trade power. What those are, I'll explain later, but just know it's good stuff. Now, I'm going to choose a few rivals, Utrecht, Galer, and Frisia. Now, once you've chosen your rivals, you can move on to the next thing, which is trade. Now, you have something called merchants. Usually, most nations will start with 3 merchants. I don't think there's nations that start with more, but you will start with 3 merchants. Now, there is something called trade nodes. Now, how trade nodes works is you have every trade node has a green and red path. Almost do. As you can see, the English channel does not. But if I look at Paris, it has a red trade node and a green trade node. The green trade nodes are it's trade flowing into the trade node. As you can see, it's right here because it flows into Paris, and Paris flows into Genoa and into the English Channel. Now, when you do this collecting, you take the money that is in the trade node, and you take a certain percentage of it depending on your control. So as you can see here, England has a lot more control than me, so he's obviously going to get a lot more money. And control is based on trade power. As you can see, there's a lot of provinces who are yellow. The yellower the province, the more trade power it has. Usually because it has a special building, for example, Market Town. Anyway, trade is the main way you're going to make money in the early game because it is just way better than taxes. As you can see, I make double the income that I do from taxes. It's just a lot better, especially for a nation like Holland. Anyway, you can do 2 things when you have a trade node. You can transfer profits or collect. If you collect, this is what I'm doing here, you'll get money from the trade node. But if you transfer, you will increase your profits from another trade node. You see, this is 85. If I transfer from here, 87. You see, it increases both your power in the trade node and your income. It basically grows the income. As you can see over here, I am bringing 0.33 from Paris and Lubeck. I'm basically stealing the trade, if you want to call it that. Now, I've explained trade. I'm going to move on to the next thing, which is ideas. Ideas is basically your technology and what you want to focus on. There's 3 paths, if you want to call that, as you can see. There's military, administration, and financial. Now, what you choose here is mostly depends on your play style. For example, if I played France and I wanted to expand a lot, I would mostly choose stuff like coring cost and claim cost, because that allows me to integrate provinces and claim provinces a lot easier, which makes my expansion a lot quicker. But since I'm playing a nation like Holland, financial stuff might be better because I want to accumulate trade power in the English Channel. And I like money, so I might choose stuff like trade power. If you're playing a nation like the Teutons or Brandenburg, which later on formed Prussia, you might want to get some more military stuff because you're going to have to fight a lot of players. So stuff like army discipline, army morale. Now that I've explained all the rough paths and how you want to use them, I'll explain one by one what each does. Merchant cap just means you can have more merchants. So you start with 3, but if you example here, you can see I have to collect, and then I have 3 paths which I want to transfer from. I'm going to get 1 merchant, and now I can also transfer from the North Sea into the English Channel. Next up, you have goods produced. Every province, well, most provinces, have a resource, and that resource gives money to the trade node if you have a basic extraction. You see resource production is 0.5. That means I will be getting 0.13 of the trade value. Now, if you get more goods produced, you'll see this increases. Right? Let's refresh the province. And you see 5.2. Now that means I'm gonna make more money from the English Channel because it has more production going on in the trade. So the local trade increases. Next up, taxation. Pretty simple to understand. You have development. Every province has development. Amsterdam has 7 development, which means it is making, see, 0.22 tax. So if I click this and I refresh, well, it hasn't increased yet, but it should increase your taxes from development. Next up, trade power. I already explained what trade does before, but I'll just briefly go over it again. As you can see, you have control. Now, control is affected by trade power. The more trade power you have, the more control you have over a province, the more gold you will get. As you can see, I have 25.1 trade power. I have +2 for my merchant here who's collecting. I have 0.9 from power projection because I have rivals, and I am also getting 22.9 for my provinces. Now, if I were to press this, you can see my trade power increased, so did my percentage, so did the amount of gold that I make. Alright, next up, coring cost. Coring cost just means when you annex a province. For example, if I invade Calais or Utrecht and I annex their provinces, I will have to core them so that I don't have rebellions and it becomes an integral part of my nation. And to do that, I'll need to use my political power, which you can see on the bottom here. But this just reduces the cost of how much it costs to core it. Claim cost, same concept. If you go over here, press on your flag, and press on cores and claims, fabricate claims, you can now see I can claim provinces. Now you see this costs 13.3. If I were to use my claim cost, it will now cost 12.3. You see, it reduces the cost of claiming provinces. Now, one more thing about claiming provinces, you have claims over here, which is automatic claims that the game gives you. They are way better to take than just to fabricate manually because they're cheaper and overall are just better, and also give you a rough path for expansion. But if once you have done that, once you have gone all over your claim groups, it is recommended to use this button, the manual one. Now, the more development that a province has, the more expensive it will be to claim. So as you can see, this costs 240, while this costs 18. Let's go back to ideas. Next up, we have national unrest, which is just to prevent rebellions. So, for example, if you're playing as the Ottomans, you're going to have a lot of Orthodox people in your territory. If you want to convert them quickly and without rebellions, you might want to get that to reduce the chance of rebellions. Next up, conversion speed, also very useful as things like the Ottomans, because you're going to have to convert a lot of provinces, and it will just make conversions a lot quicker. Next up, we have army discipline. This just means your army will do more damage to enemy armies, inflict more damage, kill more troops, that kind of stuff. Now morale is different. Morale will just keep your troops fighting. So it won't necessarily do more casualties, it will just prevent you from losing battles. So this discipline is more good for like killing enemy troops, while army morale is more good for holding off armies and not losing battles, which is, both of them are really useful, but personally I'm more of a discipline guy. Manpower recovery is self-explanatory. It just gives you more manpower. As you can see here, I'm getting monthly manpower recovery of 29. If I were to increase this, I'll get 4% more manpower recovery speed. Ship health, also pretty self-explanatory. If you make a ship, it will have more health when fighting. And finally, siege power. When you go and fight someone, you're going to have to occupy their provinces. And siege power just makes it quicker. So for example, if I were to siege this fort, it will be very difficult, but if I were to max out my siege power, it will be a lot easier. Alright, now that I've explained all the ideas, I'm just going to finish up on the research and explain to you that. Every, I think like 50 years or so, you will get a research basically. Now you can get it before, but as you can see, if you get it before the time, for 1480, it's now 1467, it will be way more expensive. But you can make it cheaper by having developed provinces. If your average development is considered high, you will get more, you will get minus 20% for the research. So as you can see, because of the time, because it's not 1480, it's going to cost me 58% more. But because I have very high average development, I'm going to get a 20% discount. Next up, now next thing, let's recruit an army, and I'll show you how to go to war. What the hell? Weird. So how you make troops is, you go over here, you press this tab, and now you have two options. You have mercenaries and you have armies. You don't want to buy mercenaries generally, because, well, they're a lot of money to recruit, and you still have to pay for their upkeep. But what's good about them is they spawn with half morale, and they're instant. You don't have to wait for them to spawn in. So if you're in a desperate situation, you see you're losing, and you need troops real quick, it is recommended to use mercs, because your army will take time to spawn. And also if you don't have manpower, also good to use them. But as you can see, I had some manpower, I didn't need to use them, so I can just do this and get the troops. If you don't want to get your army one by one, you should just hold control, then move your mouse like so, and you can see I can choose all my troops and click. Now I have 6,000. I'm going to press merge on them so they're one unit. And now I'm going to get some claims. So like I explained before, you go over here, press on your flag, claims, and boom, you've got some claims. Now invade Utrecht. Just for a war goal. There we go. Now you wait a bit for your diplomats to come back, and they're back. Now you can declare war after you justified your war goal, which if you want to annex provinces, you're going to have to do this war goal. There's more war goals, but I'll explain them later. Let's declare war. As you can see, the AI will spawn an army. If your army is smaller than theirs, the AI will go on the attack, but if you have a larger army, the AI will stay in its province. As you see, I have more army. I'm going to win this battle very easily. Boom, the AI has been killed, and now we're going to siege the province. It's important to note, the more troops you have, the faster you will siege. But specifically in provinces without a fort, it maxes out at 25%. It cannot get bigger than 25%. Oops. Oh yeah, when you pass through neutral nations, you will lose troops. You'll lose troops to attrition. As you can see, if I were to go do this, I lose 249 troops from walking on neutral nation territory. Now, troops here don't really regenerate. Big problem I have with the game. They don't regenerate. The only way to get troops back is to just build more, which is kind of annoying, but yeah. Now, let's explain peace treaties real quick. To sign a peace treaty with someone, you're going to want to go to over here, and then press peace treaty. And now, you have several options. One, you can destroy their treaties. For example, if Utrecht was in alliance with the Teutonic Order, I could end that. If they had releasables, I could also release nations from them. So, for example, France or Spain, I could release nations from them. Or, for example, the Ottomans, I could release Bulgaria from the Ottomans. But we're just going to take their provinces. So what you want to do to annex provinces is to click on one province, click on the second province, and you've annexed it. Now, it's important to note, if you don't have a connection to a province, it won't work. Now, you might ask, well, you don't have a connection here, why can you annex this province? Well, it's because it's bordering the sea. If the province borders the sea, then you can annex it regardless if it's connected or not. So I'm just going to do that. And now, if you want to take the maximum amount of money instead of clicking like this one by one, you're going to want to right click. See, it instantly gave me the maximum amount of money I can take. And now I just send peace treaty. Now, before I do, I want to explain this briefly. If you feel like you're losing a war and you want to end it quickly against an AI or a player, you can press this button to surrender. It will give the enemy instantly 100%, and at least your country doesn't have to suffer being occupied by foreign forces. Alright, as you can see, I have annexed Utrecht. I think that was Utrecht, right? Yep, Utrecht. And as you can see now, I need to make it a core, because if I don't, you'll see unrest, not a core, plus 20% unrest. And also we're going to get overextension. If we go over here, we can see overextension gives us even more unrest. And if you want to avoid rebellions, it is very much recommended to make it a core. Wait one sec. Yeah, as you can see, also because of, autonomy. As you can see, there's also something called autonomy. Autonomy is basically, well, autonomy, literally. But the more autonomy that a province has, the less you will get from it. So ideally, you want to have the least amount of autonomy in a province as possible. But if you lower autonomy, which I'm going to do right now, it's going to add plus 25 unrest. And since I don't want a rebellion, I'm going to make it a core. Click this, see the unrest went down, and now I'm going to lower the autonomy. And you see I have no rebellions. That is good. Boom. And now I'm going to make more money. Instead of losing 60% or 70%, I think it was 70% of the total that there is over here, I'm only losing 35%. Now, you can't just lower mass autonomy over and over again. You just have to wait until the next date you can lower autonomy, which in this case is 1509. Let's do the same thing over here. And boom, we've annexed 2 provinces into us. As you can see, since he was my rival and he is dead now, I need to choose a new rival. So I'm going to choose Flanders over here. Next up, let's explain how you build things. If you want to boost up your development or increase your trade power, you can go, for example, to Holland, and you can click this. This will open up a building tab, and you can see I can build 2 stuff. The more you play the game, the more buildings I'll unlock, but the problem is Amsterdam already has a bunch of buildings, so I can't really build a lot. But if I go and destroy some provinces stuff over here, you can see I have all of these buildings in the early game to build. Wooden wall, that's just this wall, basic. It's a pretty good fort. It does its job, but it's not good for like the mid game, because then it's very easy to siege. Next up, you have harbor. Harbor just boosts your trade power and development, but also gives you ship capacity, just increasing the amount of ships you can have. So if I build a harbor, I'll be able to have more trade power from this province. So I'm just going to do that. Build a harbor, why not? I also have basic residences, just boosting my development. I'll get that too, why not? Get more taxes. A church, that is recommended to build on provinces which are not your faith, because if you do that, you can convert them faster. As you can see, 100% conversion strength. It will just make conversions way faster. We don't need it, but I still want the development for the province, so why not? Let's build a church. And finally, resource extraction. Resource extraction is just for getting the resource from this province. As you can see, I'm getting 0 goods produced, but if I get this, I'm suddenly getting goods again. Now, as you can see, we're a bit technologically behind because I didn't bother to research, but you can also see, since we're behind time, we didn't research yet, and it's 1483, we were supposed to research in 1480, it's a lot cheaper to research. You can also see that my average development has dropped because I annexed provinces with less development. In any case, I'm going to finish my research. And there we go, we have gotten new ideas to use, very nice, and I can put that, for example, into, let's say, trade power, why not? We'll make more money from this trade node. You can see, more money. Now, what you want to do is you want to keep expanding all over this place until you have enough provinces to usually form a formable. Some nations have formables, some don't. In this case, Holland has a formable, the Netherlands. If I look at details, you can see it's ideas, which I'll explain right now. Ideas are basically boosts which are for your nation only. So if I look over here, you can see I have these. These are the default ideas. They're not that good, but they're alright. As you can see, 5% more political power, 5% more army morale, and 5% more tax. It's not great, but it's something. But if I were to form the Netherlands, I would get some very nice ideas. 12% trade efficiency, just making my trade better and giving me more money from it. More trade power, more ship morale, which is when you fight a battle, and ship health. So basically, Netherlands is very navy and trade focused, as you can see. So that's the ideas. Now, to get an idea, you're going to have to spend, let's see, usually around about 100 political power to get it. You also have some other stuff in policies, like drafting. I wouldn't recommend getting that. But if you do get drafting, basically what happens is you get more manpower, but it really kind of destroys your economy because you get less political power. you get less taxes, and you get less resource production. You also have army maintenance, which is just, you can choose the quality of your army. As you can see, if I were to max out my army maintenance, I would get 25% more cost, but 10% more army morale and army discipline. Now, personally, I don't like doing this because 25% to 20% is not really make sense. I don't like doing this either because 50%, 12% doesn't make sense. I like keeping it at a nice 3 out of 5. But if you don't have any manpower and you want your army to be stronger, you can do this for the sake of just making your troops stronger without any more manpower. Next up, let's explain these three. Loan repayment rate is just basically how fast you repay your loans. You can take loans over here, or automatically, if you run out of money, you will take loans. And the more I increase this, the faster I'll repay the loan. So if I were to take a loan here, and then I'll take this policy, 300%, you can see I'm now paying it at a much faster rate. I'm gonna pay it at 1.6 instead of like a 0.5, I think it was. I'm gonna pay it at a much faster rate. I'll pay it back with the interest. Or alternatively, if I lower it all the way to 0, I will get minus 60% payment rate, but also minus 0.6 political arts. If I press this, you can see I pay the loans a lot less quickly, but I also lose a lot of political power. See, minus 0.6, that's a lot. Now again, you want to keep this usually at a nice even state, unless you are at peace and you just want to repay your loans back, then you can use the loan repayment rate. Now wealth tax, that just determines how much tax you get, but also how much political power you get. So if I were to increase my wealth tax, I will get a lot more money, but also a lot less political power. So if I do this, I'll get more money from taxes, but less political power. Over here, as you can see. Alternatively, if you lower it, you will get more political power, but less money. Now, I really like lowering wealth tax, especially in the early game, because you're going to need the political power for a bunch of stuff, like expanding, claiming, technology, a bunch of new stuff. So I'm just gonna, let's get some, I guess, trade power and merchants, why not? Now, what will I say? Yeah, so political power. So policies. Once you've decided what kind of wealth tax and loan repayment rate you want, you can also go over to the poverty tax. Now, what poverty tax does is it gives you more money for unrest. So, for example, you can see over here in the unrest map, this is how much unrest I have. If I were to do this, I would probably get a rebellion. Actually, I wouldn't. But if you want to avoid rebellions, I don't recommend using this policy. Especially in newly conquered states, you will most likely get a rebellion instantly. I have occupied this province for a while and I've recorded, so the unrest has lowered a lot. But if I were to use this policy, as soon as I conquered it, I would instantly have a rebellion here. I will show you how this looks. One sec. Let's go after Bourbon. Make some troops. Which I'm pretty sure Bourbon has like 5,000 troops. I may want to keep mine in the fort. No, he does not. Alright. He's gonna attack him here, beat his army again. Then go ahead and occupy his province. There we go. Occupy the second one. As you can see, I only have a claim on one of his provinces, so I will not be able to annex Bourbon's main province, the capital, no matter what I do. As you can see, you can click on this, it doesn't work. You can click on this, it does work, because I don't have a claim. So it doesn't matter how much I try, if I don't have a claim on a province, I cannot annex it. There are exceptions, for example, holy wars. If you do a holy war against a Muslim and he has Orthodox provinces, then you can take all the Orthodox provinces you want, of course they'll still cost you war. And in other cases, you have hordes, and hordes can take provinces without claims no matter what, in any war. But don't worry, they have big debuffs later on, I'm pretty sure like double the technology cost. Anyway, yeah, let's annex this province, take all this money, boom, boom. Now, if I were to instantly now go to poverty tax and increase it, I should get a rebellion. No, seems not. Weird. Oh, I think it's because we got the research. Yeah, okay, it's because we got the research probably. In any case, if you were to do this and get the maximum amount of, where is it? Poverty tax, you will get rebellions usually. The more you annex, the bigger your overextension will be, which will increase your unrest. If I, for example, would annex 3, 4, maybe even 5 provinces, my overextension will be too great and I will get a rebellion before I can even core all the provinces and lower the unrest. We need my new rival, I'll make it Liège. And it's, yeah, I got more traders, so I can use them for America. Now, I will explain how to colonize right now. Let's do this. As you can see, since I've researched the latest tech, I have access to colonizing, as you can see over here. Now, how you want to colonize is you want to gather a large amount of money, about 600 gold. As you can see, it will cost me a lot to make a colony because it's my first colony and I have no connection to the land. So I'm just going to have to probably take a loan out. Actually, I can't. I need to wait for the 1500s. But luckily I got maximum wealth tax and everything, so maybe it'll be pretty quick. Oh yeah, armies cost a lot of money, so if you want to reduce your costs, as you can see, it's 1.4 spent on my military. And let's delete that, and now I make a lot more money. Also, forts cost you money as well. You know what, while I'm at it, let's explain forts real quick. Forts give you two things. One, they make a province very hard to siege. As you can see, siege defense plus 55. It'll make it very hard to siege. Like, legit, you need like 15,000 troops to siege this province down, or you just die before you can finish it off. It also has maintenance. It'll cost you money over time. And final thing, it has army defense, which means if I were to place 1,000 soldiers over here, they would basically have 1,350 troops instead of just 1,000. They will count as 1,350 troops because there is 35% defense. Now, let's go back to the colonizing stuff. What you want to do is you want to choose provinces that have special buildings. Now, if you don't know which provinces have special buildings, I recommend going and getting a map from EU4 with special trade buildings. But I already know this because I played the game a lot, so I know Manhattan has a good building here. As you can see, Market Town will give me more trade power in the area. Show you Eastern America. As you can see, I have a lot of trade power for my province. And now I click on this. You can see I can build new stuff and it works like a colony. Now you can see it has a different culture because it is Dutch American, not Dutch. And I'm going to get a lot less money from colonies, 50% less, because they're very autonomous. Now, if I go over here, you can see I have two new policies, which is colonial expansion and colonial autonomy. Now, what colonial autonomy does is it gives you more money, more resources, and more trade power from a province at the cost of unrest and also making it not build stuff. So the more autonomy a colony has, the faster it will build buildings itself. Now, if you lower the autonomy, it won't make the buildings, but if you really need cash, I would recommend lowering the autonomy for the extra money and trade power. Next up, you have colonial expansion. Colonial expansion just gives you more settlers, which allows you to colonize more faster, but it'll get less political power and less resource extraction. So if I just go over here, let's see, I ran out of settlers, I can't colonize anymore. I have to wait for the settlers to come back, which will take a few years. But if I went over here, and I got colonial expansion, I would get 2 more settlers, and now I can colonize even more. Now, how colonies work is, you want to get the best resources and then transfer them to your trade node. Now, in this case, Mexico is probably the best starting colonial area, because as you can see, gold everywhere, and also has gemstones. Gemstones are also really good. So Mexico is like the best starting place in the game for colonies. But as you can see, if I were to go to trade, Mexico goes into Caribbean, and only Caribbean goes into Eastern America. So if I wanted to have Mexico transfer to my trade node, into English Channel, I would have to make a very, very long journey in which I would lose a lot of my trade because there are other people collecting along the way. You can see Castile will take 33% of it. France, Portugal will also take part of the stuff I take from Mexico, and it will dwindle and dwindle and dwindle. And by the time it reaches the English Channel, I will get like, what, 5% of it? So it's not worth it for a nation like me. But if you were playing as Spain, you will only have to transfer it from Mexico to the Caribbean, and it will go straight into Gibraltar. Now, okay, navies. So I'll briefly explain navies now. How navies work is, the more technology you have, the better ships you can have. As you can see, next tech, I'll unlock galleons, which are just better ships than what I have right now. As you can see, I already have galleys. So if I were to build a galley, it'll spawn over here in the port, and then I can click on it and move it around. Now, ships have something called supplies. That's only for ships. If a ship is out at sea, it will have like around, I think, 120 supplies. If it runs out of supplies, it'll begin dying. It'll begin dying until it's gone. Now, the way to avoid this is two things. You can either put them at port, which will restore their supplies, or you can have them embargo other countries. Just embargoing only works when you're at war with the country. It doesn't work if you're not. But if you do embargo, it will give you supplies to the ship, and will also take trade from the enemy. Or just not let trade go through, which is very good for you. So let's just do that. And I will, as you can see, it doesn't do anything because I am not at war. You can also see my supplies going down because my ship is out at sea and it's not doing anything. So if I were to make a few troops here and invade, let's say I invade Phrygia, let's quickly justify on them. You can see Phrygia has 0.9% control over the English Channel. But if I were to invade Phrygia and blockade him, let's declare war. You can see if I were to come over here and press blockade, I'm going to steal 33% of his trade. So I'm just going to go over here, and you can see occupied. I take 0.2 control from Phrygia. Just go over here, pick his army up, and now he gets a lot less money. Now, when you're at war, it is very, very, very important to manage your economy properly, because if you don't, there is something called bankruptcy. Now, if you are bankrupt, you will lose a lot, and I do mean a lot of stuff. So if I were to take a loan right now, I think it'll work that way. Or forced loans, I don't remember. No, okay, it's forced loans. So if I were to spend all my money recklessly right now, for example, by using all my money to build, let's just build some stuff, waste all my money, and then I were to just keep building up my army, which will take more of my money. Build up some ships as well, why not? Build up everything. You can see I'm slowly losing a lot of money, and eventually I will start losing money in total, and after I go into debt, I will take forced loans. Forced loans are really, really, really not good. You can see I'm losing gold again, so let's build something like a training camp, why not? You can see I'm losing gold. Gonna keep building up my ships, for example. Let's build up more ships, why not? Let's build up even a nice light ship. As you can see, I'm losing more and more money, and soon I will be taking a forced loan. Alright, there we go, we're at 0.09, and there, as you can see, I've taken a forced loan. Now, you can only take so many forced loans before you get bankruptcy. So I'm just going to declare bankruptcy because I know it will happen eventually because I'm losing so much money. And as you can see, it has some really, really bad effects. You will lose 50% trade efficiency. You will make a lot less money from trade. You will lose 60% morale on your troops. Your troops will become extremely weak and will be easily routed. You will get minus 35% political power gain. You will advance technology and core stuff a lot slower. And minus 50% manpower recovery speed, basically meaning it'll be very hard for you to build new troops. So let's do this. You'll also lose 25% of your soldiers, and you will not take any loans in the future. As you can see, to become bankrupt, and all my troops are now extremely weak. So if I were to go to war with someone, I would probably lose. Let's say I go to war with Gilair. Why not? Let's go to war with Gilair. Summon my troops. As you can see, I have 6,000 troops. That is probably more than Gilair has. But let's see. If I go over here, declare war. Gilair has 4,000. Try to attack him. You can see Gilair absolutely stomps me because I am bankrupt. Hey Gilair, I'm going to just surrender to you. You can see it took some money. Good for Gilair. Let's delete this whole thing now. As you can see, my political power maxed out at 500. It cannot go above 500 no matter what. Which is kind of annoying, because it means that if you're at 500, you will be wasting money. So, I'm just going to increase my wealth tax, because I am way higher in technology than most people, and I have no need for this. So I'm just gonna, let's get more goods produced. Why not? Let's put my ships at port. Delete them. Delete. And delete. Now, when you fight players, I recommend a lot to use forts. Forts are really strong. They're used to lock down whole regions, because if you walk near a province that has a fort, you will be forced to. Well, I don't have political power. When you walk in a province that has a fort near it, you will lose troops, and your army will become incredibly slow, which will allow your enemy to outmaneuver you and catch you off guard. So, for example, I had 1k here, 1k here, and my enemy had 1.5k, and I tried to go siege that with both of my armies. My enemy could catch one of my armies while it was over here walking, and my other army would be too slow to come and help it. So just be careful when sieging forts. It will take up a lot of your men. It's also a very good defensive position, and overall it's just a really big pain in the ass when fighting war. So I recommend building it if you want to annoy your enemy, or if you want to fight a defensive war. Wow, I really grew high. I can rival some really big boys. So let's rival Burgundy. And let's get, come on. As you can see, I'm not making a lot of political power at all. There you go. As you can see, I also lost prestige because I started in a war, and now you can see I'm losing army morale and trade power. If we look at my power projection, I'm also losing 7.5 power projection, which would also lower my discipline and trade power. So as you can see, I've pretty much explained all the basics of the game. You can also look at map modes over here for all the stuff you need. For example, autonomy. You can see I have more autonomy here. If I lower it, do like this. I press on autonomy again. See it's lowered. You also have technology map mode, which just shows who is ahead in technology. If you are behind in technology, it would show you were red. Next up, trade. Just all the trade nodes. You can see trade power, which shows you provinces with high amounts of trade power. Let's see what else. Diplomatic, that shows you your allies, truces, rivals, people you're at war with, shows all of that. Economy, that shows the development of each province. As you can see, Rome and Constantinople, very developed. My country is also pretty developed, but not as much. Cultures, very important also. Oh yeah, I forgot to explain cultures. Cultures. What cultures do is, if a province has a different culture to yours, you will make less money from it. So as you can see, this culture here is Phrygian, my culture is Dutch, so I will make 50% less tax from this province. But I could go over here, culture, and I can do two things. I can either convert it to my culture, which will take a lot of time, or I could make it I could promote the culture, which will negate the debuff. You can only promote 2 cultures at a time. You cannot promote more than 2. But yeah, it's recommended to do that if you want to make more money from your provinces. Now, for nations like the Ottomans, it's mostly not possible, because you're gonna have a lot of cultures. So you should just integrate them. They can make them Turks. Now for me, it's pretty easy. I have only Dutch people around me and Germans. Also, a very important thing: if there's subculture groups and there's culture groups. As you can see, German is split into a lot of cultures: Phrygian, Dutch, Westphalian, Rhenish, Prussian, whatever. Uh, but because they're all in one culture group, they're all German. You can see that I'm only making minus 15% tax. But for example, if I had some French people in my nation, Frenchies, I would make 30% less money. So as you can see, England is making minus 33% money because it's a different culture group to them. See, they're English and they're French, so they're making minus 33% instead of my minus 15%. So it's also very important to have everything as your culture. Next up, unrest map, as you can see, it's just where you're most likely to have rebellions. You have resources map, shows you all the resources, gold, 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 very nice, I love gold. National map, that just shows you what you have claims on, what your capital is, your colonies, one sec, you see your colonies over here, what you have claims on, and what you have uncored. So if I have Galera uncored, it will show up as yellow. So if you don't know which of your provinces are cored and which are not, you can use this map mode. And finally, the player map. You can see which nations are being played by pressing this, and it will show up as red. As you can see, I'm playing the nation of Holland, so I have the red color. Now, before I end this video, I just want to form the Netherlands, which might be a bit difficult considering I'm bankrupt, but I already have 35%, which is enough to form it. So I am just going to if you don't, you have to own all of these provinces. Provinces in black are basically provinces you have to own, because if you don't own them, you can't do the formable. These provinces are optional, or well, not optional. It really depends on the amount of provinces you need to form. As you can see, I only need 30% to form, so I will only need the black provinces, but the black provinces are required. If you don't have them, can't form. Doesn't matter how much of the other stuff you have. So, what am I missing? I'm missing parts of Gile, so I'm just going to do this. Now, because I am bankrupt, my troops are going to be extremely weak. However, I'm just going to throw more troops at them, which will make them invalid. It doesn't matter how many troops they have if I just bring another 5,000. What are they going to do if I bring 10,000 men? That doesn't matter that I have minus 60%. I'll just throw numbers at them until I win. Actually, I think we have a truce. Oh, we don't. The truce is already gone. Good. Alright, let's bring all of our men together. No, please don't go on sea. Thank you. Oh yeah, if you go at sea and then land, your troops will become weaker. And also, troops are very, 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 very vulnerable to ships. If one ship catches an army of 100,000, the 100,000 troops are all dead. They cannot go anywhere, they cannot do anything, they will just die. So please escort your troops with your own navy if you don't want it to die. Now, I'm just going to declare war on him. Before I do that, let me quickly make some mercenaries. There we go. There we go. Mercenaries, and now I have 13,000, and it doesn't even matter that he has 4k. I have 3 times his numbers, so I should win this, even though I'm bankrupt. As you can see, it was relatively close, because I was bankrupt. Just annex Hilaire. Hello, sir, I will be killing you. Boom, boom, boom. So let's core this. Lower the autonomy. Core. Lower the autonomy. I can't actually core this. Okay. I'm gonna probably want to reduce wealth tax so I can get more political power, because right now I'm losing a lot. But let's also explain briefly holy sites while I get more political power. So how all holy sites work is basically you have certain places like Rome or Jerusalem or Mecca over here. And if, for example, the Ottomans were to own Rome, all Catholics will get minus 5 prestige. As you can see, I have minus 5 prestige, so you can see the effects. Minus 5% army morale and trade power. Oh, that's great. I'm no longer bankrupt. Bankruptcy should pass after 20 years. After 20 years, the effects of bankruptcy will be gone, so your troops will not be extremely weak anymore. It's very nice, and as you can see, I'm also getting my political power back finally. It's still gonna take some time though. Anyway, if I were, as a Christian, were to take Jerusalem over here, wait, where's Jerusalem? Whatever. If I were to take Jerusalem over here from the Mamluks, I would get +5 prestige. So, very nice. Players tend to do crusades in public servers to get these holy sites, either to weaken the enemy. By example, if we're taking Rome, you'll make all Christian nations way weaker, giving them -5% trade power and army morale. But if I were, as a Christian, were to take Jerusalem, I would get +5 prestige, and the Muslims will lose -5 prestige. Same thing happens with Mecca. If I, as a Christian nation, took Mecca, I wouldn't get +5 prestige, but I will make all the Muslims lose -5 prestige. I'm pretty sure there aren't any more holy sites, it's just these 3 provinces. Personally, I think Constantinople, Antioch, where is it? And Medina should also be holy sites. I'm not sure why they're not, but they should be. In any case, we almost have enough to form, where is it? Yep. Form the Netherlands. And boom, as you can see, I have formed the Netherlands, and automatically I also get all of my claims on Belgium. And I think I have some new claim groups, maybe. I do. I get some claim groups on these guys and on these guys. So yeah, if you do a formable, you get new claims. You get all of your claim. You get new claims over here. You get all your old claims for your old nation. So as you can see, I got claims on all of Belgium. And yeah, that's it. You just grow a lot. Very nice. So I think I've explained everything. Thank you for watching this video. If you'd like me to cover anything else, or if you have questions in the comment section, I will answer all of them. Any question you have, I will explain the game. I'm pretty good at it. I have around 70 hours, so I should be able to explain everything I need to you. I would recommend joining our event server. I'll put it in the description if you want to join big events that will happen in my private server. For example, we're going to host a 100 Years War this Sunday. Well, this Sunday. I don't know when you're watching this video, but I will be hosting a event regarding the 100 Years War with all of the people you can see here being players. So if you would like to join that, you're more than welcome to go in the description and join the Discord. I also recommend joining the Universalis Remastered Discord itself, because, well, if you want to follow the development of the game, and you also want to get some tips, tricks, recommend formables, releasables, policies, etc., you should join it. It's very nice there. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.